Well, welcome back to another WCN Live here in the Wilson County News Break Room. My name is Kristen Weaver. I am Director of Operations, and today I welcome...
I'm Brett Karulak.
And...
Catherine and Brett Karulak.
So nice to have you here today. We are going to be talking about their business here in a minute, Sweet Shift Transmissions. But before we do that, I'd like to thank our sponsor, The Price Way, which includes the dealerships Price, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep, and Richardson Brothers Chevrolet, located here in Floresville. They are located on 181 next to each other, and you can shop all makes and models, as well as a huge service department and even careers. So you can give them a shout out. They are tagged in the description of this video. And thank you so much, The Price Way, for your sponsorship of many WCN Live videos. We appreciate you. Next, we are going to draw a winner. So let me explain. Each week when we're on WCN Live, we ask that you post comments, and then your name will go into the next week's drawing. So I have some names here from last week's video. If y'all could draw a winner for me.
You can go ahead.
Great, thank you. And the winner is Janet Smith Martin. Congratulations. I will be reaching out to you on Facebook Messenger, Janet Martin. So congratulations. And let me do a little, I'm going to share this video real quick, which all of you can do, and you can do later as well. Share this video far and wide so everyone can learn about y'all. Great. Okay. All right, well, it's time to have our introductions. If you would please introduce yourself to everyone, who you are, where you're from.
Once again, I'm Brett Karulak, and we are from Floresville, and this is Catherine. And we opened up a shop in Floresville called Sweet Shift Transmissions, and we're here to serve y'all with transmission problems with your vehicles. And transfer cases. So that's what we work on, is transmissions and transfer cases. Cool. And we specialize in those, so that really helps with making sure that you're happy with your product that we're providing for you.
Nice, nice. So tell me each of your roles. I mean, we can guess that you're the one that works on the transmissions most likely, but I do understand you get your hands dirty sometimes, right?
I do,
so
yes.
Tell us what it's like.
So, I mean, pretty much just kind of all the aspects of the business, from, you know, the initial conversation with the customers to checking in the vehicles, and then any follow-ups, you know, I mean, even getting underneath the vehicle when he's under there working, you know, I'll go and just kind of sweep along just to get, you know, all of the debris or whatever out of his way so he can move his carts around smoothly and everything. But yeah, pretty much, you know, any of the bookkeeping and paying
customer
bills
service
and customer service, very important to us. So just making sure I'm doing all those follow-ups with the customers and let them know what's going on.
That's nice.
If he's not available.
Yeah, so she's a business manager. Yeah. She is the service writer, and you know, that's a very important role nowadays. It's funny how a lot of dealerships, if you talk to the big dealers, they'll talk about how a lot of times their female service writers will outsell the male service writers, and there's a lot of reasons behind that, but it helps to have a female talking to the customers, because it's, you know, sometimes us men come across as egotistic.
They're more natural communicators,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, so it really helps a lot to have a person who you know, can talk to the customers and bring that more of a, you know, not so scary, because it's so, you know, automotive industry is so technical, and a lot of times customers come in not knowing, I don't understand the transmission, I don't know how it works, are you trying to rip us off, you know, and so by having someone, you know, she can explain some of it, and then when it gets too technical and they really ask those questions, then I'll get involved and talk to the customer.
Yeah. Nice. Sounds like you make a great team.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then also when I have had her lift transmissions with me. Yeah,
we're muscle.
Yeah, they can be pretty heavy. So I mean, I can't pick them up by myself. So when you know, she's been helpful in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when he has to put the vehicles inside also, so I'll get behind the wheel and then he'll pull in the vehicle.
Yeah, it's nice to have the
and
help
they don't
like
move.
that.
Yeah, we get vehicles towed in, transmission's gone,
and
you can't move the vehicle at all. So I will tow it in and she'll drive them in.
So walk us back a little bit. How long have you been have you been at it? Like Sweet Shift Transmissions, and where are you located?
So we are at 15101 FM 775. We're right next to the Floresville North Elementary School.
Right next to it.
Literally right next door.
That's right. Okay.
So yeah, we get to see the kiddos too.
Oh, great.
But yeah.
And
That's like the Floresville North area. That covers
correct.
all that,
Yeah.
right?
So right on 775,
Yeah.
right next to the school.
Yep, there's a lot I think that are developments that will be coming in.
Yes.
That is a very popular area. So, yeah, and it sounds easy to get to as
Definitely easy to get to.
well. So,
And
yeah, when did you open your business?
It was in October of last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
so we've been open since the end of
Yeah.
October, and
Of
we've
course, your skills and experience goes way back.
yes,
right?
I have been professionally working on vehicles since 1999.
Yeah.
So basically, that's when I graduated high school, and I was already in the dealerships. And so I went through the General Motors ASEP program, which is at St. Philip's College in San Antonio. And so worked at the dealers. I know how the dealerships go. I worked at the mainly GMC dealers, but GM's vehicles. And so I've been in the automotive industry since then. And then there was a time I actually taught high school automotive.
That's what you were talking about
Yeah,
on the
so
chalkboard. Yep.
I took a little time off from the actual working on the cars,
Wow.
and I started teaching it because I came from a family of educators. And so I did that for 9 years. In the meantime, teachers, they have a little bit of time off
Yeah.
during the summer, so I would work on cars and transmissions in the summer times. And then in about the end of school year of 2013-14 school year, I was like, I really want to open up my own shop someday. So that's when I decided it's time for me to get out of teaching, and I went and started working again for other transmission shops, and basically I called that college.
Yeah.
To learn
Wow.
how to run a business and run
Yeah.
a transmission shop. And I've worked for some pretty successful shops and just kind of took what they did to make their business successful, and hopefully we're implementing that into our business.
Oh, that's great. It's a good story. Really neat to see the diverse background of, like you said, your education and your experience that goes with it. Wow, well, it takes me to my next question, and you may have kind of already answered this, but now, how do you keep your skills sharp?
Well, for me, the way I keep my skills sharp in the technical side of it is because of the internet, there's a lot of seminars online. We are able to talk to, I can research stuff. There's these forums that have all that data stored on there. I can reach out to other transmission builders all over the world. And I can post questions, and they can answer. Like if I don't know something, if it's a transmission I've never worked on, we get a lot of people from California, because California is so diverse on their automobiles that some stuff we see here, we see a lot of trucks.
Yeah.
Well, if we get like a odd car that's not very common, well, I can post a problem like I don't know what's going on here, and guys from California typically will answer those questions.
Yeah.
Or even New York. And so the internet has made it very easy to be up to date. And then with her, how do you stay up to date with stuff?
Well, so right now I'm taking like some classes with the SBDC Center. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so explain what that is.
So it's through the UTSA. It's the Small Business Development Center, and they offer several classes for small businesses, just to kind of help them, grow in their business, be a mentor, so schedule any one-on-one advising class or, session. So I'm just trying to take advantage of all of those resources that are available for free.
Nice.
So it's nice. It's something nice to have.
Good information there, and we can all learn a lot from that. I think
Yes.
what you're both describing, that we can be doing in our own businesses or the fields, and those who are kind of looking at, like I have a senior right now, looking at what they're going to be doing and the ways that you get from their A to Z. So
Right.
pretty cool. What makes your business unique?
Well, ours is, I would say ours is unique because of the way we price our transmissions, and the way that we present the information to the customer. We want to educate you first so you know why they cost so much to rebuild, what's going into them, why they fail, and then not only are we providing a service, we want to provide a positive experience where that you feel like, yeah, you know more than you knew when you came in, you know more when you left. Okay, I understand why this has cost so much. Our pricing model's different than most shops. We don't mark up our parts. What we get them for is what we charge the customer for. So there's no markup on parts. Our labor pays all of our bills. So we make our money off our labor. And so, and then our warranty exceeds most of the shops in the area. And I'm talking about San Antonio also. We have a 3-year 36 on most of our transmissions if it's a stock vehicle. Now racing stuff, high performance, different warranty, but for any kind of a stock vehicle, it's a 3-year 36,000 mile warranty. And so, yeah, with those two things, it's kept where we can put high quality parts into the transmission because we're not marking those up so much, and then trying to keep it within a price range. So some shops will be like, oh, it's going to be $4,000. Well, they'll build that transmission within that budget. Well, what if the transmission had other parts that failed and they're marking up their parts and their labor's high? Well, then it's like, okay, would I go back to the customer and say, well, we need more money? Or do we chintz on some of the parts?
Make it work.
So the way we do it, we can't give you a 100% quote on the transmission, but we can give you a range of where it might be. But when it's done, this is all the parts that went into it. That's what it costs on parts. Here's the labor, and then we have that warranty because, I want it to last. I want it to last for years. 3 years, 36, but I want it to go to 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles, whatever, and be better than it was originally from the manufacturer.
Cool.
And the other thing, though, also is that we specialize in transmissions. So whereas we don't do anything else. It's just transmission repair and transmissions all day long.
Okay.
So that's our specialty.
And there's so much to a transmission. I mean, we're talking up to 800 parts inside of one transmission. It's the one part of the car that has the most parts in it. So a lot of things can fail, a lot of things go wrong, a lot of things can be overlooked in a transmission. So that's why it's very, we spend our time specializing in the transmissions and transfer cases too for those 4-wheel drive vehicles.
Okay. Do you want to talk about any of these items on the table?
So this is, like I was talking about, this part right here is a planetary. This is a very common part in a transmission, but this one's unique to Chevrolets, 4-speed Chevrolets, the 4L60 or 700R4 transmission. But a lot of shops would check this thing and they'd be like, oh, everything's spinning, looks good, and they're checking, make sure it's not too much play there. But one thing they may miss or they don't care is that on one of these gears, I need to see again, one of them, there's a lot of pitting. Where's it at? Of course, I don't have my glasses on right now. That's okay. Oh, here it is. So this gear right here, there's all these little pits inside, and so it's funny, these transmission shops, some of them will take that, put it back in the vehicle, and the vehicle drives, and it may last for a little bit, but eventually that pitting grows, it becomes a domino effect, and then it will eat up the gear that rides inside of there. There's another gear on the outside, and it eats that up, and then they should have replaced it, and that's what I'm talking about when they try to chintz out, or they try to keep that within a budget. So this would have been replaced, even though it would function for a little bit. This part would get replaced. So this is no good for us to use at our shop.
Okay. And how did you come across that?
So this one right here came out of a transmission.
Okay.
And I just checked it, and I, when I'm checking and I see that there's pitting on that pinion, I'm like, well, it's no good. Now you can rebuild these things. Typically, I don't rebuild them, but there is some transmission shops that will actually rebuild and replace that one pinion. And then I see these things where they explode because of that problem. So this would be the 4L60. This is a low planet. This is Chevrolet truck. Typically is what you'd see in a half-ton automatic. And this part right here would get replaced for sure. Yeah.
How much is that?
This part itself, if you get a brand new OE one from GM, which no aftermarket, they'll never run a Taiwan-made one of these. They don't last. A GM one's about $400 for a new GM. Now, if you find a good used one, which you're good. So in a transmission overhaul, you're not always replacing every single part. If the hard part's good, it goes back in. It's the soft components that get replaced. So this one in this transmission got replaced, but for a used one, they're like $70, $60-$70 for a good used one. Only GM would I run on this specific transmission.
So do you try to find used parts for customers?
Yes, so we do find a lot of used parts from our transmission suppliers in San Antonio, which is Naglito Skier is one of them, and then Transtar is a supplier. And then we're talking to a couple others for supplying us parts, but those are our main source of parts right now.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then like this part right here, this is an upgrade kit. It's the Sonics is the brand, and this would be for making a OE transmission, original design, make it better. So we put these, a lot of people refer to them as shift kits. And typically they don't make a shift hard or anything unless you want that. This is to improve the transmission so it lasts longer than it ever did originally designed. And then these are clutches. And this is a clutch kit for 6-speed. And so this would be part of the rebuild. And these are name brand Borg Warners. So some shops won't spend the money to get the expensive clutches. And so like this clutch kit compared, I think this one's like $80. You can get clutches for like $40 at off-brand. And so because of our warranty, we want it to last, we're going to go back with the original stuff. So this would be considered a high-quality clutch.
Interesting. Wow. So I guess you really have shared with us then how you keep your prices competitive.
Right.
And through all that explanation. So then let's kind of go down memory lane a little bit here.
Sure.
But what can you tell us? Do you remember your first transmission you ever built?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I rebuilt, the very first one I rebuilt was at the dealership with the guy I was working with. So I was a helper. And it would have been a 4L60E, which this is the same planet that came out of a 4L60E transmission. Because that transmission's been around for so many years, and it's probably the most commonly rebuilt transmission ever. You know, the first experience was I took it apart and I had no idea how to put it back together.
Oh boy.
This is before cell phones and cameras, you know, digital cameras and stuff, or if there was digital cameras, they're very expensive back then. And so he helped me put it back together. He taught me a lot of ways on when you disassemble, you know, when you don't know a transmission, you've not done this one, you take it apart certain ways. That way you can put it back together.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and he was an ex-Marine, so he was very hardcore and kind of, I wouldn't say mean, but he was like, you know, with his raspy voice, you need to do this stuff right. And so, but I
set you straight.
Yeah, he did set me straight, and but I stayed and worked with him for a couple of years, and he really taught me a lot, and that's where I started the transmission thing.
Wow, that's neat. That's neat. So then, what is your favorite make and model to work on? Make or model?
You answer that one. What I love working on?
He loves Chevys.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But as far as the specific, I guess I just know it's a 6L80, right?
I love the 6L80s, yeah,
transmission.
And that's what the clutches for that is for 6-speed, and they fail. A lot of them fail. It's a very common transmission to fail, and that's what makes it. And if a shop does transmission repair, a lot of them do 6Ls. The 6Ls. It's a very common transmission. There's YouTube videos all over the place. There is some things that can be missed on keeping it to make it last. But the 6-speed is one of my favorite to do just because it's so common. I mean, we have at least one right now that needs to be done, and then may have another one coming within the week. So it's just it's a good transmission to rebuild.
Cool.
But I love Chevrolets. I mean, you know, I'm one of those guys. I got my Ford friends, and I'm the Chevy guy. So
yeah, you're talking to a Ford person here.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool. Well, what would be like one of because that sounds like that's enjoyable. You enjoy working on that, and because you're probably like you see them so much, you're kind of that expert. Is there one that's like more challenging?
Yes.
I didn't put that on my list, but
challenging
I thought that
transmissions.
Would be interesting.
Anything that's not common. So when you see a transmission, you might see once a year. Well, that makes it challenging because there's so many parts to them. And then the problem with uncommon transmissions is finding the parts. So 6-speed Chevrolet, the parts stores, they have it. They have everything in stock. When it comes to like an import, typically like maybe a Toyota or a Honda, they have the parts, but they may not have all the parts you need, and then you gotta get them from another place, or you gotta order them online. Where like in California, they see all the Hondas and Toyotas, so they would be like, they would have those parts, so it's more common. So typically anything that is an import is hard to find parts for. There's certain ones you cannot rebuild. There's no parts for them. And so it's more like if the dealer has it, that's about the only option you have to fix it. And that can be a problem. But we haven't had any of those vehicles in a long time. I haven't seen one I was talking about was a BMW. It was several years ago. Customer brought it in, and we were going to fix it. It had a leak. No, it didn't move. Something was wrong with the transmission. This was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. So we went to get parts. There was none. The only option the customer had was we had to get a dealer unit from BMW to put it in there, and it was very expensive. I mean, back then it was like $8,000 just for the transmission.
Wow.
And that didn't include any labor, no markup on the part, and so it's and I'm not, I don't want to talk bad about BMW because I know they're out there, but there is sometimes it's hard to build some things there isn't parts for some units.
What would be the most unusual that you've worked on?
For me, typically the most unusual stuff I see is going to be anything really old and antique. I've worked on a transmission one time some years ago that came out of it was like a UTV / golf cart from like the 70s or the late 60s. And I didn't think there was no parts out. There was no any parts available, and took it apart. And my boss that I had at the time, he was like, well, I'm going to find parts for it. And he did. And we fixed it. And the guy, it was a bench job, so he brought us the little transmission, and then he took it and put it back in. So that's probably the weirdest one I've worked on.
Wow, pretty cool. Well, thank you for making a transmission so interesting today. Yeah, I can see. I think y'all have a lot of fun. Sounds like what you do.
It's fun. It can be stressful too, but
I'm sure.
We're introverts, so it's just like when it's stressful, we just get more quieter.
That's nice. Kind of a peaceful environment there. Sweet. Wow. Well, this really leads me to the end of my questions. Is there anything last minute extra that you wanted to express while we're still live? Anything we might have missed or you thought of?
Just that if you have any questions, just call. And typically,
text.
And you can text the phone. And if I make my phone calls at the end of the day, she can take the preliminary information and maybe give some advice. And if it gets to real technical questions, I will call at the end of the day or the next day sometimes, depending on how busy I was, and give a good explanation on what's actually going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So remind us again, the name of your business is Sweet Shift Transmissions, and tell us where you're located again.
We are located right next to Floresville North Elementary on 775. You can't miss it. Right.
Yeah.
There's a school, you're going towards the park,
Yep.
and we're right next to it. A lot of people think the building's actually owned by the school district, and it's not, but it's right, and we share the fence line.
Okay, great.
15101 FM 775.
And what is your phone number?
830-542-0635.
Great. I'll have to share that in the comments later. And also we can find you on, are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
We have a Facebook page. As of right now, Google has been generous, and people can type in transmission repair or Sweet Shift, and it typically is pulling up.
Okay.
And we are working on more, ways of advertisement and stuff like that.
More to come.
And hopefully future website.
Okay, great. Well, it was really nice having you on. It was so nice to meet you. And
Thank you.
Again, this was a really interesting conversation, even though I don't know what you're talking about all the time, but made it sound beautiful. It's really great. Pretty cool. Thank you all for joining us, and share this video. I know that many will also find it afterwards and will be watching this to learn about you. And I want to thank our sponsor, The Price Way, which includes the dealerships Price, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram and Jeep, and Richardson Brothers Chevrolet. They are located next to each other on 181. You can shop all makes and models, huge service department, and you can shop careers. Thank you, The Price Way, for your sponsorship. And we hope that you join us again next Wednesday. I will be live again with a new guest at 10 a.m. We'll see you then. Thanks.